Please raise your hand, right hand. I state your name.
J. Ronald Allen,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Colorado, and the Charter and ordinances of the Town of Keystone, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of Town Council Member for the Town of Keystone to the best of my ability.
am I supposed to repeat all of that, or is that
You can give me
All right, I will lower it down for you.
pieces? Thanks, yeah.
I state your name, do solemnly swear that I'll support the Constitution of the United States.
I, J. Ronald Allen, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, Constitution of the State of Colorado,
The Charter and ordinances of the Town of Keystone,
and the Charter and ordinances of the Town of Keystone,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of a Town Council Member for the Town of Keystone to the best of my skill and ability.
faithfully perform the duties of the Town Council to the best of my abilities. Town of Keystone.
Town of Keystone. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Clerk later will have something for you to sign, basically the same thing.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's obvious.
That's my son's texting me. He changed that on my phone. Whenever my son needs me, he's Darth Vader.
Well, at least it was your phone and not ours.
Yeah, yes, and it was on.
That's true. That one's been a statement.
This is how it happened in the original Star Wars.
Council member, it's a different thing.
Now we have an opportunity for communications to council. And first I'd like to recognize Winetta Massey, who is sitting in for our town attorney to answer any other questions that we may have during the rest of the council meeting. And she is online. Welcome very much. We appreciate you being here, Winetta.
Sure thing.
And you come highly, highly recommended with a lot of experience. So we're happy that we are pleased to have you. With that, we're now coming into communications to council. If anyone would like to speak to council on any topic, they're free to do that at this time. Is there anyone in the audience here who would like to speak? Is there anyone online who would like to speak? Seeing none and hearing none, I'll declare communications to council closed, and we'll move on to the discussion items. The first item is discussion of speed limits, and with that, I'll turn it over to the town manager.
Okay, as you know, the town has roads, and now we actually have a police department and a court system that we can enforce speed limits on those roads. We as a town should set, we have speed limits set because we adopted the model traffic code. I have those speed limits in the packet. It's 20 miles an hour on narrow winding mountain highways. They're blind curves. 25 miles per hour in any business district. We don't have anything like that. 30 miles an hour in residential districts and 40 miles an hour on open mountain highways. I would recommend that we look at our roads. They're in red in the map in your packet, which we need to, do you have a computer? Do you have a, it would be, give him your computer.
Oh,
We should have thought of this. Print it out a packet, yeah. And if we go to the map of the roads in the town, you can see we have kind of several different types of roads. I kind of put Soda Ridge Road and Montezuma Road in the same sort of boat, and they're both currently signed at 30 miles an hour. Then we have all the little cul-de-sacs off of Soda Ridge Road. We have some smaller, I want to call them kind of feeder roads. Wild Irishman Road, Elk Crossing, the beginning of Independence Road. We have some strange roads like North Fork, Gondola Road, and we have Loveland Pass Village, which I jokingly said we'll put a 55 minimum, but clearly if anyone's been up there, the speed limits do not exactly, it's not safe to drive that at those roads on speeds that you want to drive some other roads.
Can I ask you just a general question? The red are representing the roads
Own control.
that we, so the fact that, for example, Independence only goes halfway.
Yeah,
We only control that half, but we don't.
they're private roads, so the owners of the roads.
Independence is a private road.
Most of it is. This is a discussion we'll be having in the future. I feel there are some roads in here that are private roads that meet some of the criteria we've already established for wanting to take over maintenance of, I think, the rest of Independence Road, which has
The reason why I ask, we fixed some of that already.
we did.
I mean, that's not marked in red.
Correct.
Okay.
What do you mean by fixed?
Well, we put tar down
Gotcha.
and
Oh,
a
repaired
bridge.
them.
Right, a bridge
The
here.
bridge was, we repaired was our bridge. But
So, I get a lead foot and I decide to go 50 miles an hour on the unread section. And as soon as I get to the red section, I slam down. Dylan or Keystone Dylan, please, can they issue me a ticket?
private road. Entirely sure.
So let me ask the
Let's ask our town attorney.
attorney, the question is regarding roads.
You make it speed 30 miles.
Yeah, is there any other roads that's unpaved that we should be considering?
Yes, the Keystone, the beginning of Keystone Gulch Road.
Or
Good luck going through that.
Yeah, the area. So river and basically service.
I still stand by that 50 mile an hour.
well, I'm.
I know, and I think it's better not to put it on. I think we should identify those roads, and there is no problem. E0 15, this road is 25, so it's 30.
Remember, permit.
So as I understand it, the two ways that the systems on the truck or your car are going to tell you what the speed limit is either one of those video photo cars got around and it's used recognition that map road speed limits are uploaded that in the map data set, which your car has downloaded or your app is using, or your car has its own which recognizes we could have a discussion whether 10 or 15 is the right for dirt road. We have a couple of other that may because they're only really roads such as glorified parking access houses.
Yeah.
So, which as long as I'm talking about low back drive fills, that's not really a road. It's like parking and lots of people running around. My drive is very short. And no problems. People going around the corner. Only at high speed. It's just a matter of time. Some good coming out of it. That's the process.
So let's just start with the roads. Councilman Permit, way. Yeah, every off of Razor Drive there, not the,
Just
and, all recommend little Soda Ridge Road.
Is-
15 and
talk in for a minute. I drove home past Village at 7 miles an hour and I couldn't imagine going faster. And you've done a good job on smoothing the road out, but it's,
I'm
I don't know
happy
what the
with
history of this is, but it seems
Is
reasonable.
there value for consistency though? I mean, is that one
Well,
we're gonna try to pull?
I am approaching that as a first precedent that we might want to consider. What is the downside of making it 10 on all these? Let's just talk
On
unpaved
all
roads
of
first.
those. On just unpaved roads?
Unpaved, one thing at a time.
Well, I think Keystone Gulch 15 is appropriate. That's the only issue I have. I don't care about.
And my issue with designating something as unpaved is I'd rather designate a speed on the road. What happens if Hanson Road gets paved? It should still only be a 10 or 15 mile an hour road. And if we pave it and haven't called it out as a specific speed limit, then it's back to the 30 miles an hour.
Can we use the legal jargon along the lines, and this might hit other areas too, but unpaved roads or high residential concentration with tight winding curves?
Every place has high residential.
Yeah, I'm not proposing that we create a policy is specifically for unpaved.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, let's start with those and identify what we think is a correct.
So let's start with everything north of Highway 6 when you turn off a Razor Drive.
Can I interrupt very quickly? Are you back online, Winetta? Can you hear us?
Okay.
Good. We have one question for you.
Go right ahead.
And that question is, on a private road that has a public easement, can the town establish the speed limit for that road?
And the public
even-
easement is for the traveling public, so that such that a public road exists within the easement?
No.
It is privately owned,
And privately maintained.
privately maintained. all right? But it doesn't have a public right of way, it has a public easement.
What are the terms of the public easement? Is it on a plat or something?
Yeah, and in general, it's a full public access.
So the
We have
public
buses
would
that
have
go
a
down
right
it.
to traverse within the public easement.
Correct.
And I haven't researched it, but off the top of my head, I would say that you would have a right to regulate the speed of public traffic within the easement. But again, I haven't researched it, so I don't really have a good answer for that question.
Winetta, when you say public access, let's say that I'm a homeowner in that area, does that give me private? Like, does that allow me to then speed in that area without consequences?
Well, no, because you're also the public if you're traveling within the easement. I mean, you may own the fee property underneath the easement, but if you're regulating the traveling public within the easement, then I think all of the traveling public would be subject to it, whether you have an ownership interest in the underlying fee or not. And did any of that make sense to your manager or your planning people? Right.
Yes.
And that's what I researched.
Yes, we can regulate the speed for all of Independence Road.
But on the other hand, for Caravelle Road, for example, which specifically says private road, we
Yeah,
set our own traffic speed, that they're completely on our own.
correct.
We can't change that, nor can we enforce it.
We don't have any interest in those roads whatsoever.
Examples help. Thank you.
So let's go back to, and when I refer to Loveland Pass Village, I refer to everything north of Highway 6 that you turn off of Razor Drive to get to for purposes of brevity, so I don't have to say Mazel Drive and Hanson Road every time.
Well, we have 2 council members who live in or around, 3 council members. What are your thoughts about the current 10 mile per hour?
It's not.
It's not, that's,
The current posted 10
it's
miles,
not even posted. It's a private sign that someone put out
but
there.
it,
So,
but it looks real. It looks like it's.
well, I know, but it's not.
We understand.
I'm not arguing whether it's true or not. I'm asking,
Let's-
what do you think of 10 miles per
Well, the
hour?
question is, what speed limit do you think ought to be in that
Yeah,
area?
I think 10 is appropriate. It's very tight and narrow place. Once again, there's kids that live in that neighborhood, which the difference between 15 and 10 miles can be fatal to a little toddler running around. So from a health and safety point, 10 is by far better than 15. I don't know if there's a reason to have it 15 for convenience of something, but I can't, but from a public health standpoint and a public safety standpoint, 10 is going to be, is plenty for in the neighborhood.
Having worked on ambulances and responded to vehicles versus pediatric pedestrians, completely agree. And the distances traveled here are so exquisitely short that it's not an inconvenience at 10 miles an hour. We're not talking about a half-mile drive at 10 miles an hour. We're talking about like 100 yards, 200 yards.
So it's not the efficiency of a throughway. So good.
To move us on.
I would say call a vote on that.
Yeah,
We're
everyone,
not, we're just thumbs up.
Yeah, we are.
yeah,
We are.
everyone who supports the 10 mile an hour in that Loveland Pass Village area. All right.
Hey,
Go ahead.
way back in Antlers Gulch.
I think those are two probably different. I think if you post 10 miles an hour on Antlers Gulch, 0 people will follow it.
Yeah.
But 10 and way back is probably very achievable.
Yeah.
It's denser than any of the areas we just discussed and also short total distances.
So 10 way back, what's your proposal for Antlers?
Way less than the 40 miles an hour that people seem to be rounding that corner at.
That boulder does a lot of catching of cars. 25?
That would be consistent probably with a lot of the other areas.
And having lived there for a couple of
Consistent
years.
with what areas, if I?
What I'm thinking of is we have other roads that are,
Kind of feeder roads.
yeah, it'd be the feeder roads.
It might fall under a sharp corner, a sharp turn, so it might be 20, I would suggest.
So just in principle here, the proposal is, I guess that's what's in the model traffic code, is 25 in business districts and 30 in residents. That's our going in proposition that we're considering to refine, right? So if you ask yourself, why would a business district have a lower? I would argue that it's because of the traffic moving in and out, more people walking. And if those conditions are present in a residential area, then 25 sounds more reasonable. Lots of traffic, lots of pedestrians, lots of in and out traffic, the way you just described that.
And there is with all the wintergreen traffic that
Right.
I'm just trying to be able to start grouping some of these.
Right, so that's my proposal though, is we try to do that. So if you, just for point of comparison, you look at like Porcupine Lane, Last Chance, the ones off of Soda Ridge, they are residential. There's not a lot of movement in and out, except for the people who actually live there. But these others, like Antlers, it's a very busy area. It's dangerous. And that should be our concern, priority concern, rather than throughway.
So I'm thinking 20 or 25, what?
I
25.
agree. I think you had proposed 25.
Yeah.
I think the radius of the whole curve, including the width of the road, is about 100.
Oh, are you talking Atlas Gulch?
Yes.
Oh, I agree with the lower. I was talking about the cul-de-sacs and everything else.
Oh, sure.
I think 20 for those would be.
Councilmember Martin.
I would like to see Oak Crossing Lane at no more than 25, given residents and the blind driveways and things that we have that, like where the conversation is headed. I would, and I think our homeowners would like to see something no more than 25.
Councilmember Hagan.
And I hate to bring this up this early, but maybe we give guidance to staff on and I think staff is hearing us loud and clear right now, but instead of doing a decision by committee on every single road in town, maybe with the notes that we've given, with additional notes that we can give, staff creates
We don't have a lot of roads. It would be real easy to get council input.
to just go road by road right now.
No, I would recommend we go through some classes of roads
Yeah,
versus road by road.
Yeah.
For instance, the cul-de-sacs.
What I was
I
gonna
think
say,
cul-de-sac should be 15.
what I was gonna say is I think that we should give guidance and ask staff to make the list of all the roads and the speed limits.
And then we can take a look
And then we
at
can
it.
say yay or nay, and
And
then,
let me add to that. I think we should invite members of our community to come talk to us next.
They
time around.
have been. This was posted. This is, this meeting was posted with discussion of speed limits. And we have one person here who's interested in the speed limits. There's a limit to staff knocking on doors or walking down the street as a town crier.
So now that we have started the discussion, perhaps next time we meet, there will be some public who hears this and wants to.
Well, yes, because we'll have an ordinance. There will be a public hearing on this.
For an ordinance next time, but okay.
Yeah.
So right now on the table is 10%, 10 miles per hour in the Razor Drive area. We have a bid for 15 in the cul-de-sacs and one for 20. Comments?
Well, I wanted to, John, you mentioned, can we pull these together that are common? As opposed to going through each one individually.
Yeah, the cul-de-sacs.
Okay, so the cul-de-sacs is first.
Well, Antlers Gulch is a unique road.
Yeah.
So some of these are very unique. Loveland Pass Village was unique. Way back is unique. Those roads have to be done one by one.
But for what I'm looking for is as a broad guide to guide staff to help them in their process, to give us the listing of roads or class, that we could give some broad guidance for them to give.
I mean, we've really only got like 6 or 7.
I think we're beyond the broad guidance. We're talking specifics right now, right?
There are only 6 or 7. The cul-de-sacs are a class. The
Right.
major roads, Montezuma, Soda Ridge Road, East and West Keystone are a class.
Right.
The Loveland Pass Village roads are a class. Elk Crossing and the other golf course neighborhoods are very similar roads. They're a class.
Yeah, but they're really just like a cul-de-sac.
Yes. But they're not. The cul-de-sacs are about the size of this room.
Oh, no, not some of them. Some of them are larger, John.
But do they all have in common that they end in a dead end? Or?
Well, not the
Crossing.
Elk Crossing, but not the Elk Ridge and the other
Right.
Elk Circle.
Another thing that I'm curious now, based on the guidance from our legal team, is that roads that are not highlighted on the map, Tennis Club Road, for example, my understanding is we can regulate the speed on that. So I think that while the red lines really do identify a lot of areas, we can control the speed on every road in our town bounds that are public easement. And so I think that we're missing a lot too.
Not a whole lot. We're missing Tennis Club and St. John.
And everything,
Conference
and
Center Drive.
everything in East Keystone.
No,
They don't have public easements on those roads?
not on all those roads there.
Well, we'd need to know which ones they do have a public easement on.
Okay, we'll put this off then.
So you just mentioned several that you'd like some guidance on.
Yeah.
Could you go one by one, please?
Large roads, Soda Ridge, Montezuma, East and West Keystone,
Which currently would be 30.
which would currently be 30.
Any objections?
No.
I mean, I almost think Montezuma Road should be a little bit higher than 30, but I will probably be the only one to say that, so.
Well, I'm
So-
surprised it's 30. I thought it was going to turn out to be 40, but
Yeah.
So what other broad guidelines?
The smaller feeder roads, Tennis Club Road, Independence Road, Wild Irishman Road, through roads that are not necessarily straight and serve a whole lot of off turns, but do serve a lot of houses.
yes.
Do you know what the signs are right now at some of those? I mean, some of those are posted now.
But the signs mean nothing.
Yeah,
The
but
signs up there,
and we understand that they're
We're
not
talking
correct.
Soda Ridge Road, there's a sign for 30 miles an hour. There's a model traffic code we've adopted. That means it's in effect.
yes.
It's a valid sign.
But what sign, right or wrong, are on those other ones you mentioned?
30 miles an hour,
Independence.
Soda Ridge.
Independence.
I don't know.
Okay,
Don't know.
so because they're in residential areas, were we to not decide otherwise, they would remain at 30, right?
Yes,
So I think what you're looking for is, are we okay with that?
exactly. Or what speed do you think it should be? I don't think those roads should be above 25 personally.
Well, I'm having lived on one of those and watched the 2 blind corners in a row, 25 sounds
Yeah.
reasonable. Again, it's not so much what we're connecting or whether there's a bus coming through. It's more about how it's used.
Yep.
Between bikers and walkers and multiple cars. And we have to consider the.
And because it's not like Soda Ridge Road.
Right.
When you're on
Which is
Soda
true.
Ridge Road, you're aware of the traffic.
You can see what's coming.
Yeah.
I would propose for roads like Wild Irishman, it probably should be no more than 25.
And what are we thinking when we say roads like? Does that include Independence?
That would include
Independence, Tennis Club.
Tennis Club. Tennis
I think
club.
that just makes sense, even if you can just consider the buses. Where does North Fork fall in on these little?
It's a longer road than most, but it's not parking like way back. It's more like Elk Crossing and Elk Circle, I would say.
And is Elk Circle and Elk Crossing, that's going to fall under our proposal of 25?
And I think that's what council member, if I saw a thumbs up from council member Martin.
I think 25 is more reasonable.
Yeah.
We're a tight little town.
Yeah.
And is there any more specific roads to discuss?
Cul-de-sacs,
Say again?
the
We
cul-de-sacs.
agreed. On
Nope.
15, did we not?
It was 20, I said 15. What do you guys want?
Cul-de-sacs are small. You're not going to get up to speed
Right.
anyway.
Right, I don't think 15 is going to hurt anybody.
Yeah. I could go with 15 or 20.
Just don't change
People
it.
gunning it up and down Meisel.
Well, that's,
But you're not.
But okay, that'll fit in the
Michael's already
LTV.
covered.
Okay,
Sorry.
it's a longer one, so it probably doesn't, your statement is
Yeah.
probably quite true for the roads you were speaking
yeah.
of.
So what does council want? 15 or 20?
If 15 appeases the group, I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I don't think we're gonna get up to 20 if, yeah, like,
It's,
I think it's signaling to the drivers, Lord knows, we're not going to put a police car on
yeah.
each of those cul-de-sacs, but it's a signal to people who are not from this area, what's recommended,
And
what's wise.
I do have one more road that's kind of a unique road, and that's Oro Grande Road that goes behind the Snake River Saloon.
Wouldn't that be considered part of the business district?
No, its primary purpose of it is a feeder and
Condos in the,
it's,
yeah.
Snake River Village and Campfire.
I think a 25 would be perfectly adequate
Absolutely.
there. And see, we got to it.
So before we get off this subject, there's no question that posting a limit is one thing, and watching people pay attention to that is another. So we have to have the enforcement to be coupled with this.
Yes.
I know that we're talking about our tone roads right now. When will there be a time when we can talk traffic cameras or any other devices on either Soda Ridge Road or US 6?
Next,
Please don't tell me never.
next meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
next meeting, what's the agenda item then?
It'll be, well, we'll workshop that, but I'm bringing the ordinance for these roads forth at that time, and we can talk about that. There will be, incidentally, I was going to put in the manager's report, there will be some major traffic enforcement operations going on here in the next month or two from the police department. So
do we
In the
think
shoulder
that
season?
shoulder season is the right time to target?
any time is the right time to target people who are putting our citizens at risk.
Good answer.
That's a good answer. And
However,
however, I would love to see that when we have lots of plates that don't say Colorado and people don't necessarily care about our community.
Yeah, there will be lots of it. This is just the first one.
And as you're teeing up next times, I always want to say next week, but the next council agenda, I would really like an opportunity to discuss speed cameras, which we've talked about generically before, and we need to come to some decisions. And also the possibility of a reduced speed limit going through our business area on US 6.
Can't do that.
I think we can.
Can't do that.
You're saying because
It's,
the
the
state.
speed is controlled by CDOT, and to lower the speed limit, they will do a traffic study. And that traffic study has as much chance of raising the speed limit as it does of lowering the speed limit. our solution for Highway 6 is traffic calming measures, narrowing the roadway where acceptable, curbs and gutters along the roadway so people realize they're in the town, signs that show your speed and the speed limit as you come into town, issues like that. But the only way the speed changes on Highway 6 is through a traffic study.
So I hear you, heard that before, but you've just mentioned a number of traffic calming that we kind of keep pushing down the road. So
No, we haven't. We've already put a curb and gutter in one place.
it's
Everything takes money.
I understand it takes time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen until you start the conversation. And I would like to hear what the police chief thinks about these ideas.
Yeah, he'll be at our next meeting, and, yes. And he approves of all these measures, including the AVIS, the
Good.
speed cameras.
When we look at speed cameras, we should also look at the news out of several Colorado municipalities that FLIR or whatever that company is, has been, say it again, Flock, thank you. Flock has been, I'm not gonna say illegally, but has been sharing this data without the town's consent. So we need to really look at if we want to be installing mass surveillance devices on our citizens.
I think Flock is different than the speed.
Flock is the one that was doing that.
No, Flock is the one that was doing that, but they're not speed
They're not
cameras.
speed cam.
That's not the ones we want.
Yeah, but we,
They're specifically there to monitor people. They look for stolen vehicles. That's what Flock does.
yes.
We still want to.
Also, apparently, there's other,
And
I
Flock,
agree with you.
I haven't seen stories of Flock.
Google it, Denver 9 News.
Yeah, because I've talked to our police chief and our sheriff, and they said we can absolutely control who Flock footage is shared with.
And that's what Centennial believed too.
Yeah, so I will have to look into that, but
We don't have Flock, right? We, the town, do not.
The county does right outside.
The county-
not
We don't.
quite yet. Not quite yet.
Should I interpret that in as, what does that mean?
As our police chief is prepared to buy 2 Flock cameras for the town.
Would that be something that we would have oversight or say on, or?
Yes.
Yes, he's our police chief. Yep. But however, apparently Flock has been illegally sharing the information
Yeah.
despite the
I don't
restrictions
know if
on
it's
the.
illegally, but.
Well, it would be if they didn't have the permission to share it. It would be illegally sharing it. So I'll look into that.
We need to understand.
Kind of got off course there.
Yeah.
Continue on.
All the-
Continue on.
We're done with roads.
Do you need any other information from us? All right.
Next item is discussion of the bear ordinance.
Okay, as I've told council numerous times, the reason towns continue to have councils is because they're constantly changing their laws as knowledge evolves. This knowledge, my recommendations for changing some of the things in our bear-proof containers is based on my discussions with Colorado Parks and Wildlife in the process of getting our grant awarded to help offset the cost of trash containers. CPW recommended a few things. The first is that the containers be certified by, I had listed a bunch of things. They also strongly recommend the Interagency Grizzly Bear Committee, which actually is a thing, and it's Forest Service, Park Service, BLM. They actually test these garbage cans with grizzly bears. These are the cans that are guaranteed to work. So I added that into our definition of a wildlife proof container. And I actually took out our language allowing non-certified containers that meet certain requirements, because to tell the truth, I'm not the judge of bear-proof containers at the Interagency Grizzly Bear Committee.
Yeah, that was the
I think this
I can ask a
streamlines it
question.
and makes it more black and white.
Yep,
Can I ask a question?
yes.
Okay, okay, that was one question I had, removing the consideration non-certified containers. What does, pardon me, what does that mean? Will there be containers that are probably good, but we're still gonna give them a fine?
Yeah, I mean, if I were a welder, I could certainly build a grizzly or a bear-proof container. It's far too much effort. I'm not a welder though, so I can't necessarily look at the box someone puts out and guarantee that that'll keep the bears out. I think it's,
Well, I guess I like the idea that we were giving you some flexibility for some of these especially the larger bear-proof systems. And I don't want to take away that flexibility from you.
Unless you don't want that flexibility.
the language that I struck out, giving the ability is, I can take I'm ambiguous either way.
I assume that because you recommended that, wanted to get rid of that, so you weren't having to get in arguments with somebody about, is it good enough or is it not? You can just point to.
Yeah.
Plus, any of our trash hauling companies are probably not going to want homebrew solutions too much. Quick question. This applies to garbage cans. Does it apply to recycle bins?
No, because the recycle bins technically don't contain attractants.
Okay, I just wanted clarity.
Yeah, shouldn't contain attractants. I prefer not to have the authority to make that decision to tell.
So everyone okay with the recommendation of the Grizzly certification and removing the latitude for the town manager?
Yes.
If that's what he wants.
I did have a question in section 5B where you talked about, formerly it read, if a commercial establishment cannot construct a dumpster enclosure, it may petition the town manager to allow wildlife-proof refuse container as an alternative. And now the proposed change would be an establishment may petition and allow the use of a wildlife-proof refuse container as an alternative. My understanding of this section, and I distinctly remember we talked about this, was that we wanted cannot in there as the first line of defense should be a enclosure. And if they cannot construct for whatever reason, right, then they can use the bear proof or the certified. And I think it's important to keep that cannot in there because that was the intent, I believe, of the council in our conversation.
This was changed after my discussion with Colorado Parks and Wildlife. They specifically recommended this change. They'd actually much rather have a certified container than an enclosure.
Why?
Because they know the containers will work.
When operated correctly.
Yes.
And to quote the National Park Service, there's a considerable overlap between the intelligence of the smartest bear and the dumbest tourist. And I think that, the comment, and I believe, and I don't want to put words in the mayor's mouth, but the mayor was talking about how there is concern about folks that are renting short-term rentals not knowing how to use these containers and just leaving the latch unlocked. And it could be certified all you want, but if you leave the door open, that, while it might seem very simple to us on how to use a bear-proof container, right, or a dumpster, a door handle is a lot easier for the standard tourist.
Keep in mind.
So the problem with that though would be if a tourist leaves a bag of garbage outside a certified container, doesn't use it, leaves it outside, one bag gets destroyed. If a tourist leaves a door to a dumpster enclosure open that does not have a bear-proof container in it, everything in the dumpster.
A tourist unlatches the dumpster, leaves it unlocked.
Let's understand, we're talking section 5, which applies to commercial refuse disposal. And we're talking about commercial establishments and restaurants. in that paragraph. Not HOAs.
So I would be curious to hear why you think a restaurant worker who is underpaid and exhausted at 2 a.m. is going to be more compliant than a tourist, because I can tell you they're not.
But we have the ability to go after the owner of that establishment and cite him. Whereas we don't have the ability to find that tourist who.
You have the ability to go after the HOA.
So if I think the mayor's point is correct. Section 4D talks about multifamily housing developments, i.e. 99% of the HOAs. So I rescind my comment because I think after rereading that portion, I would agree with that.
I would point out that many comments were made in the development process of this, that it wasn't, that first of all, we have unintentional and intentional noncompliance, and that's found both in commercial and in multifamily residential. And having 2 layers is better than 1 for that. And I'm not sure I accept the town manager's point that the bear can get 2 trash bags instead of only 1, because that's not really the issue. The issue is habituation of the bears to that area, and they will come back and continue looking for the next bag from the next tourist.
And parts of
And let me finish. When I have tons of experience, as several of you do, with seeing what bears do when they do get into dumpsters. And sometimes they take 2 bags, sometimes they take 1 bag. They don't empty the whole dumpster. But there's additional reasons beyond that, and that is sound, dumpster, slamming bear-proof dumpster lids at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. when the restaurants are closing is highly disruptive to a lot of our mixed residential commercial areas. And there's also aesthetics. I forget which member or which person is sitting in this room now who said it was, we ought to have a particular beauty and aesthetic standard within our community, and that might not be a dumpster just sitting out within the business zone or within the residential zone. So I think there's many reasons why we shouldn't change this thing that the council very carefully considered and voted on before it's even in place.
And it is in place, but I'm not married to any of this. These
Okay.
were recommendations by Parks and Wildlife. One was expediency. It's a whole lot easier to get bear-proof dumpsters out than to get a lot of bear-proof enclosures out. I'm not married to any of this, except I am married to adding the interagency grizzly bear council. I will fight on that hill, but the rest of it is what you as a council want.
Well, I concur with that. I agree with what my colleague says. We did do due diligence on this, but it appears that the experts have come out with new information we had not considered. And I think that should carry the day with respect to the approved containers. Now, I don't have a strong feeling about the other you brought up. I think the noise is relevant.
Yeah, that's a very relevant.
Is anyone, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Mr. Manager, but is anyone opposed to then keeping the cannot in there? So keeping the original verbiage more or less?
If they cannot, then.
If they cannot, then they can just use, is anyone opposed to that?
Which is what we
Which
had
is
agreed on
what Aaron
originally.
is supporting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So the changes will just be adding the interagency, taking out the discretion, and the rest of the strikeouts
You still have,
will be,
you still seem to have to say if they cannot do it, they have to get you to
yeah.
authorize that.
Yeah, I mean, there are places that literally don't have the room to put a dumpster enclosure. That's a real shame, but
It's reality.
it's reality.
I think it's a good compromise.
Great.
Excellent, we're flying through this stuff.
That's the info you need.
It's like, I don't know what your definition is.
All right. Next item is discussion of A51 plans, Mr. Town Manager.
Okay, Keystone Resort has submitted a proposal to replace the Area 51 chair with a new chair, basically on the exact same footprint. There'll be very minor disturbance. They're going to add a bathroom up at the top of Crew Lift. Generally, this type of ski area enhancement is not something that we'd even be concerned about, but I felt it was important to talk about it because it's the first opportunity you as a council have to weigh in on something that the resort's doing that may impact us, whether it's negatively, we don't want it, or John send a letter saying the town council is in support of this project.
So just a question. I saw the existing parking lot will be used for storage of Mountain House. Would be used for storage. How much of that and for what time?
Only for the time period when they're doing the construction.
They
That
expect
wouldn't be
cars out there.
No,
Okay.
And they do that all the time.
Well, I figured
Yeah.
that, but I
Yeah.
didn't want to,
And that's what Vail Resorts does for every lift.
I realize that. I
Storage
just,
in the Mountain House.
it didn't have timing in there, so that's why I was asking.
and what their plan is to, for the most part, eliminate the terrain park up there. Turn it back into
Kathy home.
kind of a beginner bowl. Yeah.
So that goes into my exact question is the proposal seems to be stemming the direction of Keystone away from being any sort of a park destination. Well, I couldn't catch me dead in a park. Well, you'd probably catch me dead in the park if I went in there. So while it seems to be steering Keystone away from us being a destination for something, right? Are we concerned about the reduction in customer visits because of that unique thing that we offer, right? I mean, to be honest with you, we already have a pretty great Bergman Bowl, which is great novice area. We have a bunch of learning areas. And the park, while not what it used to be, is definitely a unique aspect of Keystone. So I don't know if we're concerned about that. I mean, I personally don't think we can change anything about it, but wanted to at least bring that up.
I guess my opinion, and I can't speak for the resort here, is, this is a business decision they're making. There are, to tell the truth, if you're a park skier, you're going to Breckenridge or Copper Mountain. You're not coming to Keystone or A Basin.
It wasn't always that way.
No, it wasn't.
This basically takes what's called the A51 area now and moves it back to not quite where it was before as a family beginner ski area. And so it's actually making more room for beginners and learning intermediates, at least as I see it, for someone who uses school marm at the top as a transit, and with the stream of boarders heading over to the park. That has always been a major safety concern, particularly for Vail Resorts. I remember those discussions going back to 2010 when John Bueller was here, and them trying to take steps to slow that traffic down. That's one of the reasons why they closed off the top, to force traffic to go into the park using the Peru lift. They've just recently opened that up again, so you can get into the park. School marm coming up. I see not a lot of downside from a tourist business standpoint. It's actually going to, I think it will have it will potentially increase usability of that whole portion of the mountain. For those of us who like to ski over to the south portion or the west portion of that and ski Go Devil and ski Richter, and even if you really want to ski some icy bowl, ski the icy bowl.
For the record, the mayor is saying he does black diamonds.
But if you want to do that, this opens it up to more people.
Are you proposing a ski off?
I yield. At my age,
I remember A51 was Pack Saddle 2. That's
Yeah.
where I learned to ski.
That was
It's
Pack
great terrain for them to test their students and figure out which level they're actually in. I remember the terrain park being there, being over where jackwhacker / whatever they're calling that these days.
Jack Whacker, yeah.
And back and forth. The truth is, like, they need to replace the lift and they can move the terrain back and forth 10 more times and the lift isn't going to change that.
I think we can debate good, bad, more borders, less borders, but John's right. This is a corporate decision. It's good to be aware of it, but I support the principle of them coordinating with us for our knowledge. I think the reason you brought this to our attention is great. And the bottom line is it should make it safer skiing for beginners and intermediates, as long as it meets Forest Service standards.
Would anyone be opposed to giving direction to staff to write a letter of support in this, advocating for continued investment in the community and our resort?
Member Martin, do you have something?
I don't see a need for the town council to take a position on this, is my opinion.
I think it's less of a we'll sway anything and more of a good partners.
Good partners.
Looks good.
If the
Is it
majority of the
Keystone?
council,
Is it
Is in
Keystone
favor.
Resort reached out to us, or is it the Forest Service?
The way this reached out is CAST identified this as a,
Northwest.
Northwest COG identified this as an area, something that was being considered.
Okay.
Of the resort had discussed in the meetings with John and I, the resort had discussed that they were planning and had a action in place for the Forest Service. And so just to ensure that from a transparency standpoint, that everyone was aware, we're aware, and provides an opportunity for the community to become aware that this is going on.
I think
I would
that's
just
what we
say-
want to support, yeah.
I would just say a letter coming from us isn't necessary, but it puts a point that we'd like to continue this and get that kind of information.
And that we're paying attention.
And we're paying attention and interested in.
Yeah, simple letter.
Can I have
GPT?
a thumbs up for directing the staff to provide a letter of support?
Yeah.
Sure.
And do I have a thumbs down over here?
Nope, that's a
Thumbs up. All right. You got unanimous thumbs up. Next item is discussion regarding charitable donations. Mr. Town Manager.
Okay, this will take a little bit longer now. And I'm going to discuss a third donation that I did not get from the packet, just found out about yesterday. The first one has to do with Summit County Housing Authority down payment assistant, Summit Revolving Loan Down Payment Assistant Loan Fund. And they give help up to $40,000 at 2% interest for up to 20 years to help people with workforce, qualified people. I believe it's 160% AMI, make down payments on their houses. A significant number of people, particularly in West Hills, have taken advantage of this program. SCHA, the fund has become exhausted. It still gets money every month because people are paying back, but they're paying back over 20 years. That's not enough to keep the fund as a viable situation. They've asked each jurisdiction to contribute 75,000 out of scheduled disbursements next year. Frisco has not committed to that. Breckenridge, Silverthorne, and Dillon have committed to it. I want to know how you as a council feels. It is a good program. It's strange that this request for funds is not relative to taxes received. Most of our IGAs that we have with, well, this isn't an IGA, but we are in the SCHA IGA. Most of our funding issues are based proportionally on the communities in some economic measure or another. We actually do receive more in tax money than Dillon, nowhere near what Breckenridge and Silverthorne do from SCHA. So Dillon has a higher general fund because they have a higher tax rate. But we all have similar tax rates for the housing.
Councilmember Hagenow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of questions. So obviously not 100% capture rate because nothing 100% like capture for the 40,000, but we don't necessarily get this, or do we get the money back after 20 years, or does SCHA hold on to it?
No, SCHA
and then
will just
reuses it?
continue in this program.
Okay, and is there restrictions to the contribution? Like, I know if you donate to a not-for-profit, like if I were to donate to the Boy Scouts, right, you can restrict that donation to only be used for XYZ.
Well, this
Would that be similar to this?
this would be, it would only be used for this fund.
Okay, so in 20
But
years.
we couldn't say our money can only be used for Keystone.
No. I just, in 20 years, I don't want them to buy a helicopter because we didn't restrict the funds.
No.
Okay. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but most other housing programs don't have a return on investment, right? Like a lot of them are buying down rent or giving subsidies for programs. This is one of the only ones that I'm aware of that has like a return on investment almost. Not necessarily a return, but it's not just a flat loss.
Yes, you're correct. But almost all housing programs do have a down payment assistance.
Sure.
As part of their program.
I mean, I would just like to make the comment for the council. I remember the SCHA presentation and they mentioning that this is one of the most successful programs they've had. And for the couple of reasons that I just questioned the manager on, not being a total loss, it's a future investment, at least a proportion of it. And it being a really impactful fund, I would be willing to support this. I do think what the manager pointed out about how it's not proportional to the funds we receive is a major red flag for me, and I would kick it back to them for that reason alone.
I agree with Councilmember Hagenow on that point. Any indication why Frisco is not participating?
They have a ton of housing projects that are just coming up out of the dirt. Literally as we speak, and they.
So to add some context to that, the mayor of Frisco and myself during the CML district meeting had a brief conversation, and he was mentioning that they've actually sold employee housing units that the town owned and have almost had too much housing available, which is a crazy thing to think about. But they had trouble filling some of those bed spaces, so that might be part of the reason why they wouldn't be supporting that. Without any official reason, it's just contextual.
Then with the Councilmember Kerr.
What is the original source of their funds? Is this?
This tax money, yeah.
So what happened this year? Why did they exhaust the funds earlier than they budgeted for? Are there any guardrails on the program, or do they always say yes, yes, yes?
Well, if you qualify, they say yes.
So is this intended to cover the next 2 months?
No, this is intended to cover the foreseeable future.
And so we may see this again next year.
It's expected to cover long beyond
So
next year.
is this
but they
supposed
didn't
to
give me a
be
date.
to make up for the fact that sales taxes are dropping some?
No, this has nothing to do with it.
Then why have they run out of money?
More use, more people use it.
Start out with
More success?
Yeah, if you start out with a single pot of money and you have added demand every year that's taking out of that, eventually you're going to use up that pot of money and not be able to make any more loans.
The SHA called this out because I remember this presentation that they would likely be asking for some money for this because of the success of the program. And at the first couple of years, people didn't know about it, wasn't utilized. And now that they've done more education sessions and awareness of it and actually given out more of this money, it's being utilized more so than previous years.
So Breck has said yes and Dylan said yes. we have a $4.3 million budget. Breck is $132 million budget.
Yeah, but that's comparing apples and oranges.
Yeah.
What you need to compare is the housing funds. And,
I would hedge a bet that their housing fund is a lot bigger than ours, though.
Their housing fund's bigger.
I would bet that too. I would bet that too. The same
That's even after they
and the
make
same
all the
with, same with
investments.
Silverthorne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe we ought to, my recommendation for the manager is that we have the manager go back to, and I assume this is being driven through the steering committee for SCHA, which would be the,
Yeah, and I mean, to be dead honest, if I can take our various tax numbers from the other communities, I have them somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes, and come up with what we would consider a fair number, and they would be more than happy
I'll take anything.
to take it,
I
yeah.
think that's wise. We have not created our own housing program here. So the upside of this is it will help our Keystone people. They will be part of the pot. But the expectation of 75K across the board for all towns, given the fact that we haven't created our own housing assistance program, kind of hurts. So I would propose that you get a lower figure.
I agree. I would approve that. I guess I'm not comfortable with 75.
Okay, I'll come
With the proportional.
come back, well, I'll develop a proportional, I'll talk to them, and I'll come back before any commitments are made again.
Okay.
But it's a next year budget item.
Is anyone opposed to supporting this with the proportional value?
In principle, without,
So if it's
numbers.
proportional, yes.
well,
Yes,
let's see
but
what that proportion is.
we would have to see what the proposal is when we come back, but I think the guidance of the managers, go forth and get this changed to proportional, and then we'll consider.
and just one other thing, if it's is easy, John, to find, I'd like to understand our participation, our population participation in the program.
It'd be easy.
Yeah, that would be helpful to know
It'd just be
that.
good to know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have those
I figured you would.
numbers, but we
So
actually,
in a proposal to come back to the council, you would include the participation.
That'd be great. My next question will show my ignorance. So I think we signed up for the Prop 123 program.
yes.
So we have an expectation that we're going to create some affordable housing, a limited number in the next year or two, right? 2 or 3 years?
Well, we already are.
My question is, does this donation count toward that?
No.
No.
Good
Okay.
idea.
No, doors are all that count towards the Prop 123.
So, and therein lies my concern. Any money we give in that is not available for our own program. So let's revisit that number.
All right.
Next one, FERC, and this one kind of bothered the managers a little bit, only because FERC is now part of the nicotine, and they always have been part of the nicotine distribution. We're rearranging how that distribution occurs. I've talked to you a lot about this. FERC has reached out asking for emergency $10,000 donations to restore a rental assistance fund. Now, this rental assistance is not like the last fund we were talking about. This is not money that's ever repaid to FERC. This is out the door, and the fund, I've added their entire letter that they sent explaining the fund and what it does. It helps people when they have an emergency and can't pay their rent. The reason for this particular FERC reach out at this time is because 15 families in Summit County recently lost their primary wage earner. Thank you, ICE. And those families have looked to FERC to help pay to continue to stay in their housing, their rental issues. We'd like, our grant cycle will not happen till next year. The other communities have already finished their grant cycles for this year. This is an ask that is outside any concerns, and they're asking this emergency.
Recur.
I find this number easier to swallow, and clearly a genuine need. But is this, a couple questions, is this a general contribution to FERC, or is it specified?
It's
For the
special
rental program.
their rental assistance program.
Okay, and thank you. And do you know, I'm not sure you would, whether the short-term rental aid comes with any caveats or strings, as in, we really expect you to follow through with other resources and counseling?
I do not know what comes with it, but FERC certainly offers
I know they
the
do.
resources and counseling when,
This is all about avoiding another emergency down the
Yeah.
line.
yeah. Well, this emergency was imposed from
Understand.
outside sources.
Last question, what does the term,
ICE took 15 primary wage earners out of the county.
what does the term budget compliant mean?
Oh, we have the money in our budget.
Oh, budget compliant.
Let
Will
me ask
this require a modification, whatever that word is,
amendment.
amendment to the budget?
No,
Where would it come out of?
the donations are,
The ones that I don't like.
yes.
The general council felt like it fun.
Well, the general counsel has an emergency that was brought in front of them, and
Let me ask a question as well. We will have excess nicotine tax dollars coming back to us this year, am I correct?
correct.
So this would be an acceptable use for those nicotine tax dollars instead of taking it out of the general fund, am I correct?
Correct.
And will we have access?
Well, we assume so, yes.
Yeah.
So
There's an
this is-
assumption, we
this is
still have 4
fiscal-
months left.
this
in
is
the
a
year.
fiscal, this is a 2025 request, right?
This is a 2025 request.
But we're still getting $20-25.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. When, we finally got that IGA signed, whatever, a month or so ago by everyone, but it's retroactive to the 1st of January. We do have certain obligations that we have to pay out of our nicotine IGA, but we should have excess nicotine funds, which could be used for this.
Councilmember Hagan.
Thank you. I'm going to say this comment regardless of where the funds come from, if we have enough funds and all this. At the CAS meeting that occurred right here about a week ago, one of the things that we talked about was the federal government shutdown and support for salaries of impacted workers and being able to subsidize that. And one of the concerns that was brought up was and then this notion of if we pay this now, the federal government will be, I got you. You can pay for it now for perpetuity, right? And while I don't think that that's a direct correlation or a black and white decision, I think that that notion of what's the precedent? The precedent that these things can set is a concern, and it is a real concern for me. While I definitely sympathize with the impacts that ICE and the operations have had on the county, on my workplace, right, on my life up here, and personally speaking, I think that it's absolutely crazy. Some of these operations, I think that us setting this precedent is concerning. And one of the really vocal groups that support the impacted community wrote an article, an op-ed, if you will, basically saying we have to learn how to live with 3.5 years of whatever the hell is going to happen. And that could be more ICE operations. So what happens when they come back in 6 months, a year from now, and there's, dare I say, another emergency? I am really concerned about the precedent this could set. And by no means am I saying that we should not support this community, but the precedent it sets and the fact that there are other avenues, such as the down payment assistance program that we just talked about, that have return on investment.
Yeah.
What?
This is a
Down
rental.
payment for-
No, I understand. I understand that there's rental. What I'm trying to get at is that there is other programs that can support housing needs, whether through rental or buying, that do not lose the money and they're poof gone.
If I may interrupt for a few things. this money, rental assistance funds have never come from the federal government. We're not saying the precedents that will cost us money down the line.
Never indicated that.
The precedence is, and there are going to be other emergencies. When this ask happened, the shutdown hadn't occurred. We now have forest rangers who are not getting paid, who might need rental assistance. And the question is, in the case of an emergency, do we as a town stand up and help people in need?
You can't ask that question.
Well, no, it's a question being asked, though. It's a question being asked.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a question being asked.
So I like Councilmember Paganow's concern, or him teeing this up as a precedent setter, because it would get harder to turn down after we've said yes once. And if we are aware of that going in, I think that's one thing. In another idea, Ben, I was at the cast meeting as well. I heard this guy. It was the discussion point, just to be fair to everybody's knowledge, the discussion point was about towns and counties who are deciding to backfill federal workers, especially in their forests, with their own people. And this individual sent the message that may backfire if it sends a message to the federal government. See, you don't need those federal workers. I think it's a little different, but I think what you're saying is it broadened your mind to the idea that this is probably going to continue. I think it's fair, and we'll have to consider.
To tell the truth, in Grand County, I set up a rental assistance fund. And that fund started with a $250,000 donation from the resort and a $250,000 donation from the town of Winter Park. Fund's hugely successful, it went out several times. It does really well on Colorado Gift Day. This $10,000 ask from each town to me is really, I don't understand how they think they can operate this program on that little money, but they think they can.
My concern is the way the nicotine tax dollars are being restructured. There's a process being put in place to support organizations like FERC. And I recognize this is an emergency, but I would be concerned about, again, the precedence of giving FERC another avenue to come back in and hit towns after they've gone through the process and got the initial grant dollars coming out of nicotine taxes through the Nicotine Council, which is where our tax dollars go.
So are you saying they're double dipping?
They're known, all the nonprofits are known for it.
So, which is one of the many reasons I support the work that the town managers in Summit County are doing to try to pull into one decision-making body. I think Summit Foundation, all these grants, because you're right, the double dipping is challenging because we don't really understand it. But at the same time, what I am seeing is that FERC is working hard to do its part in fundraising. And that to me is the part that concerns me when I see handout only to governments and not trying to get it from the community. And I think that will be successful.
Well, and I think we also we do this ourselves, right? We ask for Peter and Paul and the state and everyone to give us grants, right? Like we do this ourselves. If we have an avenue to get money, we will explore it. And I don't think we should knock a nonprofit for doing the same thing. As much as we need to be aware of it.
Encourage this central decision.
Yes.
Yeah, I would have an objection to spending general fund dollars on this. I don't have an objection to spending dollars that is already capped and earmarked for specifically these type of programs, which is the nicotine tax dollars. We cannot spend those dollars for things other than a very narrow definition of items.
Can we use those nicotine dollars for the first SCHA?
We can use it for this FERC request.
Yeah, we can do it for.
We can use it for FERC, but not the SCHA.
So the only consideration is we don't really know
Right.
the
What's
nicotine
the-
tax,
What
right?
was the answer though?
Yes.
Yes.
So you can only,
Okay.
yeah.
Why? Because the ballot language. The ballot language associated with establishment, the,
Yeah, down payment assistance doesn't get someone kicked out of their house and create a health and wellness situation.
So they're going at the fact that children aren't able to live, aren't able to have or families aren't able to have health and wellness because they're getting kicked out of their homes, and we're able to use the tax dollars because that's the verbiage that's being used.
Yes.
it's the tie.
Okay, I could,
The nicotine tax ballot measure had clarified that the money was going to be used for either nicotine or cigarette education
cessations.
or related health and welfare programs or something to that.
Public
So
health,
it gives us
public
the,
health and wellness.
yeah, which is why I was concerned.
I think it's a really big stretch, but
It's
But
public health.
the lawyers believe that this is.
Yeah.
And fall.
Homelessness is a public health situation.
Yeah. If I can ask the question, so, right, safety net for these families. So if this money isn't given, if FERC is not able to help them with the rental assistance, we anticipate downstream costs of now having what we said, 13 or 14 unhoused families now that we're going to have to figure out a way to get them back into a house somewhere else. So what I'm saying, the $10,000 does not seem like an awful lot of money if that keeps 13 or 14 families potentially in a residence and not, we now have 13 or 14 families that are unhoused that we will be having that cost burden as well too. So I'm just thinking about downstream from the FERC, whether this is an ounce of prevention for a pound of cure on down the way. But I don't know about other safety net programs that might be able to help these families.
kind of on the same avenue, will this $10,000 just push that down the road? So an ounce of prevention, will it solve the issue, or will it just push it down 5 months until they can't? Like, if the 15 primary wage earners are gone, I doubt ICE is going to let them back up here, right? So what happens is this a short-term solution? Is this a long-term remedy, or?
This is a short-term solution. The long-term remedy is the new distribution of nicotine funds being routed through the Summit Foundation from all the communities. So next year, FERC will come and hopefully ask enough as part of their single ask from this to cover anything like this. And it'll be up to the Summit Foundation to weigh the balances of.
Thank you.
Member Kerr.
If I can address Council Member Allen, right? I think of you as Ron. His question, I think FERC is that resource you're talking about, because they have counseling, they have food assistance, and that is like the next line. The Mountain Dreamers is an organization of people looking after each other, but there's only so much money out there. So I think our concern that you're hearing, and I'm not speaking for everyone, but let me throw this out, is sounds like we like to support this, and we're a little wary about
Them coming back and.
recurring and recurring and recurring.
And I recognize this is an emergency caused by something that's out of control. Planning, how it impacts the overall donations that FERC gets, I don't have a clue. But I guess I would be okay with committing the 10,000 out of nicotine tax dollars, any nicotine tax dollars that we have, but not the general fund.
So if we vote that way and we don't get that, and to cover 10K in nicotine tax is there what's the timeline on this?
Well, this they need now.
Do we have 10K sitting now?
Yeah, we have.
Oh, okay. In the nicotine tax fund.
Yes, we've gotten some disbursements from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, my biggest worry is not this one, it's the next four.
Yes,
I have to
I
say,
think that's what we're all thinking.
Yeah, and the managers, we were not happy with this out of cycle thing, but it's coming before our new funding plan for nicotine dollars goes into effect next year, which is the Summit Foundation making distributions, a one-time thing. You know, emergencies do pop up. You as a council will be receiving requests for money for as long as Keystone is a town, because emergencies do pop up.
Some of those will do it and some we won't.
Exactly.
What really, the note about this occurring before the shutdown, I think is a very important aspect. And that like, we have federal government workers that don't get paychecks right now. And it just irks my buttons a little bit that, those are not our primary support, right? The people that keep our forest open, the people that do a lot of work in there. That's it. It just doesn't sit right with me.
I agree.
Should we up the donation?
No,
I mean, because this is who those people will go to for rental assistance.
Let's take it one step. at a
This
time.
is the rental assistance. This is the rental assistance program.
The thing is, and I understand this is the reality, but we're saying that the reason this is needed is because of an immigration enforcement operation here. And regardless of the politics of if you agree or don't agree with the lack thereof a pathway for folks to get citizenship here easily, right? It is by nature folks that were doing something illegal.
No. No, it is 15 families who lost their primary wage earner, these 15 families, many of the children were born here. They are American citizens. They have a right to live here. Their caregiver who they're still with has a right to live here. The person who was taken did not do anything illegal. They violated civic law. Being an undocumented person in the United States is not illegal. It violates civic law. It's not a criminal law.
It's still illegal.
it's illegal.
You could say it's civic or it's not criminal, but it is illegal.
Right.
Well, it's illegal.
The point is, we're talking about the fallout here of children and their caregivers.
And that's a tough situation. Like, I am not trying to be on any side of this politically, right? And I know that there's a lot of emotions that are tied to, and I'll quote here, illegal aliens or illegal immigrants, right? Like, and the verbiage of that. And I understand there's a lot of emotions around that. And I'm just trying to bring that to the attention that like, it doesn't sit right for me because there's always going to be parts of this that we do or don't agree on. But I think at the crux of it, there was activity that warranted people being removed, illegal or not, or technical definition or not. That is what doesn't sit right with me.
I don't know if this will help, but if we take the politics out of it, we look at families of people who've gone to prison. They had nothing to do with what the individual did or did not. And yeah, that's a tough situation to be in. And I don't disagree with what you're saying, but it might help to focus on the people we're trying to help.
And keep in mind, the example that was given was one example that created an immediate need. We've also have another example, which is probably causing an increased need as well, is those workers who aren't receiving paychecks. And they would be eligible for these dollars as well.
That's why we have a place like FERC where they make those hard decisions as to who gets helped.
I suggest that we're all, a lot of people on this council are comfortable with this. It's $10,000. I think we could probably do this to help people, whether it's folks out of the federal government, employees that are troubled, or these families where their person was taken out of the country. But we'll have a lot of discussions if this continues.
Right.
And we should.
Agree with that.
Agreed.
And so my suggestion is that we go ahead and approve the 10K and move on.
And I will agree with that only because of the restrictions around the nicotine cessation dollars, only because of that.
I agree.
Then, okay with everyone?
Yeah.
As the mayor proposed.
Yeah. All right. So you've got your okay for nicotine dollars.
Now the third one, which is not in your package.
Good luck.
We've been pretty easy the first two.
No, you are not. The third one is a request for me to make a $15,500 donation to the Summit Foundation and a $3,000 purchase from the Summit Foundation. So $18,500 to get 2 medallions.
Why did you just separate those two amounts? I didn't track that.
Well, because 15,000 of it is a straight up donation. 3,000 of it is the value of medallions.
Can we buy?
18,000 is the value of 2 medallions?
No.
No,
3,000.
3,000.
Why can't we do that? 15,000 and get 15 medallions or what?
Because that's not the way they do it. Because to get a medallion, you have to be willing to make a 6,000 or a $7,750 donation. It's kind of like,
You buy 10
If
full
you
ski
make a
passes.
big donation, you get more.
well, no, this is also a donation to the Summit Foundation, which is a very valuable organization who generally serves as the United Way of Summit County. Their money is passed through to other needed organizations, individuals, beneficiaries, mostly organizations. I don't think they make very many individual distributions.
So the medallion purchase is contingent on making a donation.
Correct.
Can you explain the medallion program? Because I don't think it's fully understood by all of us. And what is your intent?
Okay, the medallion program is a transferable pass. It's actually a
Ski pass.
ski pass, and there's all sorts of other added benefits, but the primary use is as a ski pass at any of our county resorts. And it doesn't have a picture, doesn't have a name. It goes to whoever uses it. I figured we would limit it, the use of our medallions to staff, council, and the planning commission. And yeah, I know you're not happy with this, Councilmember Sullivan, but one role of council of towns is to support local nonprofits.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Manager, can I ask you, does staff receive ski passes as part of their compensation?
We receive a health and wellness bonus of $1,000 a year.
Would you consider that ski passes are, for lack of a better way to say it, almost an expectation for employment up here?
I've
Here.
never been in an organization that didn't have access to ski passes.
And I would second that as a hiring manager up here, that
Sweet, let's buy 27 Summit Value passes, because that's what you're asking for. That,
No, we are asking to get that.
asking for a donation.
No.
And you're rolling in the medallions as some part of it. Separate those things out. If you want to supply ski passes, buy people ski passes.
Okay, Councilmember Parmet, if I may say.
Sure.
$15,000 of this 18,500 is a donation to the Summit Foundation that will be used for their programs. $3,000 of this is the value of the ski passes. The Summit Foundation will use that money to pay their expenses, pay their staff as operating profit, basically. If we went out and bought 27 passes, all that money would go into stockholders' pockets. Buying these 2 passes, $15,000 of that gets passed through to needed organizations in the county. That's the difference.
I don't see the difference. I see you want to make a donation and the ski passes are irrelevant, a separate conversation. 2 transferable ski passes amongst 27 people is nothing. If you want to supply ski passes, then fund people's ski passes. If you want to make a donation, donate. But we're doing one thing and then doing another thing in a rather ineffectual, limited way.
I found 2 passes have worked very well in much larger organizations than 27 people.
I have some kind of concern that we're using a charitable donation to benefit ourselves. How do you see the medallion program working? Especially.
As a benefit to ourselves, I
Some
think it's
folks already have passes, so.
as a benefit to ourselves, I think it's a great opportunity for us to provide skiing to people who work hard for this town at a really low price and donate money to that we can feel fairly confident will be distributed in intelligent ways to needed organizations.
For the staff,
Yeah.
staff, council, and planning commission, most of those people will have purchased one pass, either an Icon pass or an Epic pass. What this would allow is except for the few exceptions over here, this would allow an opportunity for, on a as available basis of staff to ski at a resort, at one of the resorts that's not part of the pass program that they've purchased.
I think everybody understands that. I need you to make me feel comfortable with the ethics of it.
Yeah.
I feel like we're spending taxpayer money.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get a benefit.
Well,
I mean, that is.
yeah, that's exactly, you spend taxpayer money on me. You spend taxpayer money on Lindsay.
So that
Maddie,
money
this
is
is an-
specific to duties that you're doing. Now, to be fair, many towns will use, I don't know, and bonuses. Which do you find more useful, a bonus to staff?
Up here, I find everything is needed to retain staff. Everything is needed to retain and attract staff. I don't think you can take away bonus programs. I don't think you can, I think you have to offer ski passes. Every single person on this staff could go make more money somewhere else. Every single person. This also rewards people like you and our planning commission who donate a ton of hours to this time for, you guys get a de minimis payment, planning commission doesn't get anything. This is kind of like the jackets we all got that say Town of Keystone on them. That was an incentive for you, for planning commission, for staff. It's simply an employee incentive at basically $3,000.
Is there any way that we can direct 10,000 of this to go to FERC through the Summit Foundation?
No,
Okay.
this is it's considered a general donation under their medallion program.
My general thoughts on this is that we're giving back to, and I just, on the record, I already have both passes, so I will not benefit from this at all. But I think that donating to this organization is a really great thing. And this medallion program, I mean, if you've been around county for more than 2 weeks, you've probably heard about it, seen them, heard about organizations donating to it, and receiving this as a perk, I guess we'll call it. Is there, my question, and I agree with the council members that have raised ethical concerns, are there other governments that are doing this?
All
What
of
does
them.
that look like?
All of them. And if I may.
Every single other town government in Summit County does this.
I believe so, yes. And if I may say, this isn't something we can just choose to join or not. There's a limited number of medallions. They just got 2 of them returned this year, opened up in the program, and the Summit Foundation came to us first. As a town, we skipped some people on the waiting list.
Councilmember Kerr.
Is that why you're proposing 2? Because they have 2 available?
They have 2 available, and to tell the truth, I think
Okay.
Two is practical because.
That's what I want to
Ski with the
ask. I'm going back
spouses
to my
and-
original question first, though. I wouldn't call it an incentive. People are incentivized to be part of this town and to contribute it without expectation. Like our planning and zoning members, they have no expectation of incentives, but to say it's a thank you is a little different. But I would like to know your concept of how you would manage this program.
Yeah, I figured we'd have a big calendar, online calendar, sign up, allow people to sign up for 3 separate dates. And after that, the pass would be opened up a week or 2 beforehand for unclaimed dates. So you can reserve, you have your relative coming into town 6 weeks from now.
As a comment, the town of Dillon uses taxpayer funds to fund the amphitheater. Town staff there receive a certain number of, I think it's 4 free
Yeah.
concert tickets a year. The same ethical argument can be used there. And I think that there is probably, and then that's just one I know off the top of my head because my roommate works in the
Well,
town.
You're right.
But-
And Breck allows their people to play golf.
To go to the rec center, right? Like there's inherent ability for towns to offer perks to its employees based on what they have. And I personally don't see an ethical dilemma here. I do think it is a concern and something we should be aware of, but I personally don't see it as a major violation.
Can I break it up? Is everybody kind of okay with giving the money to the summit? I mean,
It's the guise of passes that I think Councilmember Parmet was.
well, I would ask, I'm trying to break it up. Are we okay with
I'm not
giving that
sure
kind
we
of
would
money?
even be thinking about it after these other 2 requests. The medallions give it a sense of imminency. We've got to make these decisions, right?
For clarity, the medallions, that's a recurring cost, correct?
Correct,
Recurring $3,000 and $15,000 cost
correct.
to keep them in the.
If we choose to.
If we choose to. It is not an obligation. Next year, if the council does not wish to make the donation to the Summit Foundation and get the passes, then we don't get them. If they go back and whoever's at the top of the list can jump in and grab
I'm
them.
trying to break it up because I think we're overlooking the big money, which was
Yeah.
something. How, I brought up that it's a lot like a United Way. So there's a group of people that manage the Summit Foundation. Are we engaged in that foundation? Will we know how they're spending the money?
Yeah,
Or do we have decision-making?
no.
So we just find out after the fact?
But that's a good question, because United Way, their decision makers are pulled from the community. Is there no opening option for a Keystone rep on that decision-making committee?
They have a board that oversees this, and
So can somebody from here be involved in that board?
when there's an opening.
Dave Stelzer is involved with the board.
What?
Dave Stelzer from over in East Keystone, Settlers Creek Estates is involved with the board. He's a member of the board.
Shannon Haynes, the town manager of Breckenridge, is on the board.
I mean, we haven't really sold ourselves. We haven't talked about it.
Yeah.
I mean, is this a foundation that, I mean, I think it is.
I think we should try to get someone on the board. Yeah, I think we should try to get someone on the board. $15,000 donation probably won't get us a seat on the board.
I'd agree with that. And they do excellent work. It's a great foundation.
Yeah, and I would like
We may
this to
very-
be part of our donations in the future. If they come through with what you're promising to
So we're
look at
in
everything.
agreement on the Summit Foundation is a good thing.
Yes.
Yes.
The question is
Then the question is,
how much? And second, separate question is the ski medallions.
Right.
We picked the number, it sounded like, for the donation based on the ski medallions. Is that correct?
That is correct. And what's in our budget this year?
So just for giggles, what is your sense of going for one medallion and a $8,000 donation? Just weigh that for us.
I think, first of all, I think they're well deserving of a $15,000 donation. if not more. But we don't have that in our budget this year. Secondly, I think the opportunity to get 2 medallions is, this opportunity won't come up again. If we decide we made a mistake next year, there won't necessarily be a second medallion next year.
And my evergreen question, which part of the budget would this come from?
Your
We're gonna
favorite
talk
line,
about
your favorite line. Yeah.
Our council member slush fund.
Well, and some of it would come out, the 15.5 would come out of the council member fund. The 3,000 would come out of employee incentives.
Okay.
That's
I do like having an incentive, but a thank you for the planning and zoning
Yeah.
commission.
Why don't we do a thumbs up? A thumbs down and move on. I think we've all discussed it extensively. So would that be okay with everyone?
Yes.
So who all would support of the donation and the medallions?
Say yes.
Well, I haven't gone for opposed yet.
Oh, sorry. Makes it hard to count.
I've,
5 in favor. All those opposed? 2
Because
opposed.
they're linked.
Yeah, I think it's the optics of it.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what
that,
we're
it,
trying-
right, and maybe we can get through the ethical portion, but we just struggled with the $10,000 donation that's directly to save people from being homeless in here. And I know it sounds like a good fund, but the optics just doesn't seem right on this. And maybe it could be, but I'd have to work through that a little more.
I have an interesting story in Grand Lake. I had a council member who objected when we posted a job on our message board because we didn't allow everyone in town to post their jobs on the message board. We are still a working unit here.
We have had a 5-member thumbs up, 2 thumbs down. You have your direction.
A quick question though, is Jennifer aware of this? Is she weighed in on this?
We'll wait in on what, to what.
ethical.
The ethics.
Well, you know, we don't have an ethical code right now. It doesn't violate our ethical code. The ethical question is it okay to give employees incentives?
Right.
That's the ethical question. And I'll tell you the ethical answer. Yes, it is okay to give employees incentives.
The precedent has been set.
I agree with that. I mean, we don't have an amp. We don't have a rec center to give free membership.
The question wasn't whether to give them incentive, it's whether incentives and donations ought to be linked. Like if you asked me, like, would I vote to give $3,000 of funding for town staff to also have a ski pass fund, I'd put 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
But that's not a possible question because there is no way to get 2 transferable passes.
I didn't say transferable, I
$1,000.
said ski pass reimbursement, but.
Yeah, but well, $3,000 doesn't go very far.
Last comment, you mentioned everybody's heard of this. I've heard of it. I never understood it. And I appreciate
Yeah,
the
it's
extent to which you have explained it.
We've had a 5-2. You have your direction. Let's move on. The next item is the first reading of ordinance 2025-0-17.
Consent agenda. yeah.
On the, excuse me, that is the consent agenda. I stand corrected. Is there anyone who would like to remove anything from the consent agenda, or could I have a motion to approve?
Was there any changes made to the ethical?
I don't believe anything other than requested by,
I was pretty comfortable with where it was last time, so I would move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Now I'm moving into first reading of ordinances 2025-0-16, an ordinance of the town council of the town of Keystone, Colorado, adopting regulations related to natural medicine. turn that over to Mr. Town Manager.
And I,
Order, are we after 9 o'clock? Is that our threshold or is it 9:30?
it's 9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock. I propose that we continue with the agenda this evening. Is there any objections?
There's a lot.
All right, so with that, go ahead, Mr. Town
And
Manager.
I will turn,
He asked if there's any objections. That was your.
I will turn this over to our Community Development Director and our acting town attorney to discuss this with you.
So I'll kick it off. With regards to this issue, we had discussed this, the work session. It is in response to Prop 122, Natural Medicine Health Act. I believe the work session was in August 25th, I believe, where we discussed this. There is a moratorium in place currently that afforded us the opportunity to do the research and look at other municipalities. And Jennifer's done an amazing job with regards to reviewing and re-reviewing other municipalities and what they've done and the language of state statute. The ordinance you have in front of you basically outlines the different pieces and parts of it. From a zoning perspective, we did select, after quite a bit of land use analysis, the B1 zoning district. There are some further constraints built into the ordinance with regards to where you can locate this. And again, this is your first reading. We have noticed for second reading being our next meeting, which is by October 23rd.
28th.
28th.
28th. So with all that, do you have any questions for staff?
First one, I don't remember us talking about the times and days of the week, and I think, what did we have, 8 to 7 and 7 days a week, is that right?
That's my recollection. Let me look. Inspections.
I don't believe
We
we
didn't make
talked
any
about that. This was
decisions.
done by the planning.
Right. We asked for recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Right, so is it, that's what this
This
is.
is where this stemmed from, 12-hour operations, 7 to 7, or 8 to 8, yes.
Am I correct that
Monday through Sunday.
this has been approved by planning and zoning?
Yes, it has been reviewed by planning and zoning.
It's been approved.
Well, they don't take an action on ordinances, they make a recommendation, they recommended approval.
They recommended approval.
So they did.
Councilmember Hagan.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions. Page 7 of 11, the paragraph that says proposed regulations on natural medicine use. It talks about the section 1454 requirement findings. And it talks about the proposed revision gives consideration to the goals and policies in the master plan.
Yep.
We haven't adopted a master plan.
No, well, you have.
Yeah.
You have the Snake River Master Plan, albeit not your first choice, and the comp plan. So
We already have adopted formally a comp plan.
No, it's
the county necessity.
Okay, so this is basically saying we're adopting or we're taking into consideration the one we currently have, even though that's not the one we're developing.
That is
Okay,
correct.
thank you. Page 9, 1,000 feet from schools. Do we have any to be concerned with the B1 area?
Not that I'm aware, no, the answer is no.
That's
Okay.
a state requirement.
Yes.
That is-
Well, or we could increase it like some towns did. And then I know we had talked about ski school. Does that fall under school? Okay.
Good question, yes.
Science school?
Yes, but that's not
Well
within.
over 1,000.
And then the next paragraph talking, it must be a minimum 50-foot separation from properties used as residences.
Yes,
The B1 zone includes a strip of land by the Dos Locos Plaza, or Mountain View Plaza.
yes.
Can't build a building there, so that's out of consideration. The Gateway Building, which is residences, so that's out of consideration.
Snake River Saloon and Christie's. Is it
Snake River
Christie's?
Saloon has people living up top, so would that be
Shouldn't.
considered
It
residences?
shouldn't.
Well,
Oh, well, I don't
It's
know
not
that
a
for sure.
permitted use.
All right, well, I
you may have
don't quote me on
misunderstood
that.
that.
So really, Tenderfoot's out, Gateway's out, so really it's the Christie's building and the Snake River site.
Right.
Okay, is there any legal, and I know we had, one of these paragraphs, and I didn't find it or didn't quote it, but talked about one of the towns doing like a 3-mile barrier and it was deemed unreasonably denying access or something.
Yes.
Is there a legal concern that we are unreasonably denying access or whatever that legal term is that's in there? And I'm sorry, Winetta, if you didn't read this fully or.
That's a good question.
Yeah, no, what I will say is based on Jennifer's extremely well-written memo. So long as there is some possibility that the use can be within the identified zones, you are not, it's not a de facto ban. But if you had
Okay.
chosen a zone district where there was absolutely zero chance that that use could be implemented within the zone district, that would be a de facto ban. And as I understand it, the B1 zone still permits some natural medicine use within those properties.
Gotcha. Now, on the flip side, are we concerned about any legal action that could be taken against us as favoring a landowner, right? Like, is there any concern that we have given the Snake River Saloon owner an increase in value of their property because we've de facto basically said that's the only location we can have natural medicine use? And so they would have a monopoly on the use in town.
Well, the natural medicine cannot be co-located with the liquor licensed establishment, number one.
Yeah, no, sorry. That's not what I was trying to get at. I'm trying to get at, like, could we be sued for basically giving, and I'm not saying we did this, but priority to a specific landowner who could then use the fact that they are the only approved location in town to do a certain activity. Like, let's say that you could only serve liquor at one bar in town. That'd be the best bar in town to own, right? And so the value of that bar would skyrocket. If you only have one dispensary that's licensed in town, that one dispensary would skyrocket in value. If you only have one location that does natural medicine, the value of that property in theory could skyrocket. Could we be sued by other property owners for not having the same access rights, liberty, pursuit of happiness, all that kind of stuff?
As long as you are making reasonable decisions in furtherance of your public health, safety, and welfare, and you have determined that that zone district is an appropriate location, is a reasonable time, place, and manner restriction for that natural medicine use, you should be able to defend any legal challenge. Will there be one? I don't know. Happens all the live long day. So you're always going to run that risk. But as long as you are making reasonable decisions in furtherance of your public health, safety, and welfare, we should be able to defend it.
Thank you.
And from a land use perspective, someone always has the opportunity to rezone their property to allow the use.
Yeah.
So, but it would have to comply, so.
And this county is small enough that other towns are going to.
That hit all my questions. Sorry for the.
Anyone else have any questions? Can I have, we need to do a vote on this, since it's a first reading. Can I have a motion?
Move to approve on first reading ordinance 2025-0-16, regulations on natural medicine uses as presented.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Thank you for the work.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Kerr. Approve. Councilmember Martin.
Approve.
Councilmember Parmet.
Approve.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Approve.
Councilmember Hagenow.
Approve.
Councilmember Allen.
Approve.
Mayor Riley.
Approve.
There are 7 votes to approve.
Thank you. The next item is a resolution 2025-35, a resolution of the Town Council of Town of Keystone, Colorado, supporting the acquisition of a post office and unique zip code. And I'll turn it over to the town manager and the mayor pro tem.
This one should be easy.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that we would also like to ask for enhanced town delivery.
Okay.
Meaning,
Additional on-site town delivery of mail, whatever you want to call it.
We want to rank order our priorities. Because we have three.
Yeah, if we were to rank order, the post office would probably be last.
Zip code first.
Zip code first, and then
I agree with
that helps.
And then delivery second. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Can you make the change?
Is that
Yes.
tie your hands if we?
No, and we can do the resolution amended as stated
Yeah.
by
Correct.
Mayor Pro Tem, so I'll make the changes and we can still pass the resolution.
Yeah, we can, what we can do is he can make the motion subject to.
subject to the amendments.
Yeah.
Subject to the-
May I offer a motion?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve resolution 2025-35, a resolution of the town council of the town of Keystone, Colorado, supporting the acquisition of a post office and unique zip code as amended and discussed during conversations.
Moved, is there, moved and seconded, is there any discussion?
Just out of curiosity, is the reason for this just to show our official support?
Yeah, it's, well, it's recommended by our legislative support folks.
Normally, something just expressing support would be a proclamation. That's why I added the language about instructing staff. So that's actually, a resolution is demanding action, dictating action and some.
And just to clarify, what we are talking about from the priority standpoint is number one is the zip code, number two is the enhanced mail delivery, and number three is establishing a post office. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Now, it is now 9:25. We've been through regular business. We have not covered planning matters or the reports.
I could email out my report to council tomorrow if that.
All right.
Is there a problem about it being in minutes?
Be attached as independent.
Yeah, it can be.
And the reason I ask is I have 3 reports that you don't want to hear tonight, but I want to share with you.
Yeah, we can.
And I can email it, but I don't want to be guilty of not being transparent.
We could stick them in the minutes.
Okay. We'll do that then.
Is it acceptable to everybody? In that case, I'll go back to any other matters.
Real quick. So we had one person who showed up for the 9 a.m. Talking with Council last Monday. Jonathan and I were there. It was an interesting conversation, but I think it clarified the fact that evening sessions are useful to enable other council members and community members to meet with us. Do you still have an appetite for an evening? Because next one would be November. What are your thoughts?
As we get back into the ski season, may I bring up the chairlift with council idea that I presented last winter?
It's a little early.
Yeah, I bringing it up early.
Okay, good point.
Because I think as we talk about unique ways to engage the community, that's another way we can do it.
I like it.
I will say we heard from 2 candidates that that's coffee with council was one of the reasons.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're
that's
here,
true.
so.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we want to keep the concept of my
Give
question.
council members the ability to jump the line.
Yeah, the question is,
Yeah,
First.
I suggested nighttime.
Okay, so then we'll be asking staff to look into an amenable,
something that might have a chance of being open, maybe.
and you figure out what a good time is, not during November. It's too dangerous.
Even though.
That was it.
All right.
Real quick, just to let you know, I was told that we should have a new postmaster within the next week and a half.
A new
A new one.
A
in
replacement.
building.
to replace Mike or to replace Mike's replacement?
Well, no, we have a temporary one now. We don't have a full-time, and they're down making this selection this week.
One thing that I did want to bring up, the road was closed the other day, I-70, I should say. Lots of detours through town. And I was pretty disappointed that when I drove US 6, I did not see one single police officer there controlling any of the carnage that was happening in town.
I agree. I watched someone stand in the middle of Highway 6 with the flashing lights flashing, and I sat there and watched him for 5 minutes and no one would stop.
Really?
I think it's important that, I understand that, and I'm not sitting here to say that there wasn't something that they weren't doing or that they weren't responding to the emergency, right? And I'm not trying to say that, but maybe as a best practice, when, not if, but when I-70 gets shut down and it diverts over Loveland, we have some enhanced enforcement.
We need enhanced. I am sitting down with the
Presence
chief
is
tomorrow.
why we want this.
Very good point. I'll bring that up. Yeah.
And one last thing, because it's going to happen right after the next council meeting, November 5th, we have a opportunity for a online presentation to the Ironwood Townhomes. It's on a Saturday morning. And if you're interested, I'll get you the information to participate. I plan to participate in that, but if anyone else would like to, let me know.
November 5,
November 5th.
Wednesday. Didn't you say Saturday?
He did.
Well, I said Saturday, but it is November 5th.
November 5th should be midweek because November 4th is a Tuesday.
I will get council the date and time. I have it in a separate folder. I just didn't bring it out, given everything else going on.
Thank you.
And with that, is there any other business anyone would like to bring up? November 5th, it's a 6 PM virtual meeting.
And certainly attend that too.
So there's the information.
Councilmember Allen, would you be available for that? It might be good experience to a virtual presentation.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah, it's a good experience.
Yeah.
To get kind of feedback from the.
And it's a very small HOA. I mean, we're talking, what, 14, 15 units?
You can make, Ken will
And they're all.
all the decisions.
All right. With that, if there's no other business, at this point, I will, without objection, I'll adjourn the meeting. Meeting's adjourned.